Mike, obviously, still in the midst of the hectic schedule. I feel like I always keep referring to at the minute, but or probably doesn't seem that way. Or it's probably a bit easier to deal with when you've been winning every game as you have been doing recently. So I mean, first off, just what's the mood of the boys been like this week off the back of two good away wins?
Yeah, obviously really good. Obviously they've recovered now. It was back early hours of Thursday morning. Yeah, we had Thursday off, and we've been in late start this morning for them to recover. But yeah, good. We've got a couple of issues. Obviously, have a late fitness test on Pisey, and Tinks is struggling a little bit. Obviously, with the two games, and everyone else is fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, you mentioned Pisey and Tinks there. Obviously, Tinks has been playing pretty much every game in the packed schedule. Obviously, Pisey went off at half-time at Altrincham. So, I mean, on Pisey in particular, what was it that he kind of came off with, and how's he been sort of looking since then, really?
Yeah, well, he went back into to Stockport. They've assessed him, and he's come and he's done a little bit today. So yeah, it will just be a late call tomorrow, see how he is. And yeah, Tinks has just got a bit of a tight hammy. So like you say, he's played a lot of minutes this season, but with the packed schedule recently, I think it's just caught up with him. But just making sure we're looking after him, precaution more than anything.
Yeah, and referring back to Wednesday quickly, I mean, obviously 5 goals on the road and a win against an Eastleigh side who I think had only lost to teams right up the top end of the table at home before that, and didn't really tend to concede a lot either. And obviously Busted mentioned after the game, Aaron got a special mention afterwards, obviously a hat-trick for him, and I suppose it's probably not often that you get your first goal and your first hat-trick in the very same game.
Yeah, no, he deserves a lot of credit. He's a real warrior. He works his socks off every single day, hard on himself, and yeah, it's been a hard season for him, little niggles and things like that, and hasn't had the minutes on the pitch that he would have wanted, but he's always been there. He's always been training hard, getting behind the boys, and yeah, he deserves the credit. Because fantastic performance as well as the 3 goals. But yeah, on reflection, obviously over the last 2 away games, fantastic for the 2 results, but the performances weren't as good as what I feel as though we've had in the previous weeks. So like I say, there's still loads to work on. We're still wanting to improve, and I think Bromley is going to be our toughest test of recent weeks anyway. Yeah,
you mentioned Bromley specifically. They obviously a good thing over the next 2 games, Saturday, Tuesday, to not have as much travelling as obviously you have been this week with them both being at home. But on Bromley in particular, of course the game at their place right near the start of the season, but they're a team who don't tend to lose a lot of games, especially on the road. Difficult to beat, and similarly to Eastleigh on Wednesday, are right up there in terms of the playoffs and fighting to get into those places. So, well, as you mentioned there, a very tough game for you coming up.
Yeah. Obviously, they've got a lot of experience through the team. Cheek up front, he's a handful. Dennis is a willing runner, and they're on a good run. They're fighting for the playoffs. They've got a lot of dimensions to the team. They've got players that can play through the thirds and play good football. They've got a few patterns that I think we've tried to identify, but also the battle, the physicality of them, we're going to have to stand up to as well. So, like I say, yeah, they're pushing for the playoffs, and it's gonna be hard for us. But essentially, we've got our fans behind us, and we've got a good surface, and we've just got to focus on how we play.
Yeah, and in terms of the squad as a whole, obviously you've mentioned previously about there needing to be bits of rotation with the schedule you have at the minute, and I suppose now difficult decisions to make, but a positive in the sense that it's decisions to be made for the right reasons. That between Altrincham and Eastleigh, you've had changes made between both games, got good results in both, and pretty much I imagine every player who's played in those games is going to be knocking on the door to start again on Saturday. But unfortunately, obviously only 11 can.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good headache to have, as they say in football. Obviously, we've got 2 big games at home, very different tests, very different challenges, but both will be difficult for us. So yeah, like I say, we're looking at making a few rotations, but ultimately it's the biggest game of the season, so we want to put our strongest team out, with an eye on making sure we put our strongest team out on Tuesday as well.
Yeah, and just on the longer term sort of injury side of things, of course, Will and Tom were were up at training today doing little bits of things. Obviously, both have been out for a while for different reasons, but how are the pair of them looking at the minute as we kind of come towards the end of the season?
Yeah, both progressing really well. Tommy is working more on the functional side of it and making sure that when he comes back, he's robust. So hopefully we'll see him before the end of the season. And yeah, Will is more on the fitness, just trying to get the load, trying to get the miles in his legs. But yeah, hopefully, like I say, they'll both be involved by before the end of the season.